So, folks, we know that the International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant against Benjamin Netanyahu. The question is, where is it to be enforced, if anywhere? Well, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau confirms that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant will be arrested if they step foot in Canada after the ICC's decision to issue arrest warrant. So here's Justin Trudeau when asked about this. Apparently on the set of the Rachel Ray cooking show. I don't know where they're doing this interview, but here he is.
Michelle Song, CBC News. Now that the ICC has issued warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, Canadian law enforcement is obligated to arrest them should they come to Canada. Will you allow that to happen, or will you step in to prevent an arrest?
First of all, as Canada has always said, it's really important that everyone abide by international law. This is something we've been calling on from the beginning of the conflict. We are one of the founding members of the International Criminal Court and International Court of Justice. We stand up for international law, and we will abide by all the regulations and rulings of the international courts. This is just who we are as Canadians.
That's who we are as Canadians. We do the right thing when we're absolutely forced to. I-24 News reports France and the Netherlands to enforce ICC arrest warrants restricting Netanyahu's travel. The International Criminal Court's recent orders are causing significant international fallout, as France and the Netherlands have announced they will respect the arrest warrants issued against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. This decision means that both leaders will face restrictions on entering 124 countries worldwide. Potentially, not technically in the final math. We'll get to that in a minute. Following the issuance of the warrants, the Netherlands confirmed it would act on the court's orders. Shortly thereafter, France, Belgium, and Jordan joined in, indicating their intent to enforce the arrest warrants as well. The implications of these orders are profound. Netanyahu and Gallant will be unable to enter numerous countries, including the Czech Republic, Hungary, which is not true as it turns out, Poland, Greece, Germany, also not true as it turns out. These are countries that have since opted out. That's why we're saying that. The UK, Spain, Australia, Canada. How do you say that word? How do you say that country? I don't even know.
You got me.
Seychelles. I don't know why. I'm sure he's very upset he doesn't go there. I've never even heard of it. South Africa, Cyprus, South Korea, Argentina, which also opted out, and Brazil, among others. So there are certain countries that raised their hand and said, we're not enforcing this warrant, even though we are state parties to the Rome Statute. Hungary, Germany, and Argentina, 3 being on that list, placed incorrectly or prematurely, depending on the exact time of the publication of this article. But generally speaking, yes, a lot of countries have followed suit, including many key allies of the United States, saying that Benjamin Netanyahu is now a wanted man, for all intents and purposes, on our territory. So Senator Foghorn Leghorn was not happy about this, and he was asked by Sean Hannity what he's going to do about it. And so here's what Lindsey Graham has to say to our allies. Keep in mind, he's not talking about our adversaries here. He's not talking about Russia or China or North Korea. He's talking about our allies here. This is what he has to say to any ally who enforces the ruling and the warrant of the International Criminal Court.
Who are going to help the ICC as a nation enforce their arrest warrant against Bibi and Gallant, the former defense minister. I will put sanctions on you as a nation. You're going to have to pick the rogue ICC versus America. So to any ally, Canada, Britain, Germany, France, if you try to help the ICC, we're going to sanction you.
Well, that means I want every ally, and you saw little Justin in Canada and his position. What should the penalty be?
We should crush your economy because we're next. Why?
Where should crush your economy. So our
Blame
allies,
Canada.
Yeah. Britain, France, Canada, any of our friends who abide by international law and honor the arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Court. Any ally of ours that does not raise their hand and make an exception for Benjamin Netanyahu will have their economies crippled by the United States. We will sanction your country, even though you're an ally. I mean, this is just gangsterism in broad daylight. If you remember back when the ICC announced they were seeking an arrest warrant for Netanyahu, Congress passed a bill to sanction the ICC. You had, Tom Cotton say this is a rogue court, a kangaroo court. He has since come out and said a very similar thing. Here's Tom Cotton again on the 21st, just a few days ago. The ICC is a kangaroo court, and Kareem Khan is a deranged fanatic. Woe to him and anyone who tries to enforce these outlaw warrants. Let me give them all a friendly reminder. The American law on the ICC is known as the Hague Invasion Act for a reason. Think about it. Again, just gangsterism in broad daylight. Richie Torres, a Democrat, of course. The ICC's decision to issue arrest warrants against the leadership of Israel represents the weaponization of international law at its most egregious. The ICC has set a precedent for criminalizing self-defense. Any country daring to defend itself against an enemy that exploits civilians as human shields will face persecution posing as prosecution. Blah, blah, blah. You get what he's saying there. We ain't reading all that. Free Palestine. Senator John Thune, the new Senate Majority Leader, has a message for the ICC as well. Let's take a look at this video right here.
Before I begin, I'd like to say a word about the International Criminal Court's issuing arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Gallant. The ICC's decision is outrageous, unlawful, and dangerous. Israel has a right to defend itself, and the ICC's rogue actions only enable the terrorists who seek to wipe Israel off the map. These actions threaten Israel, but left unchecked, they could pose a threat to the United States in the future. The Senate needs to stand strongly with our ally at this time. I am again calling on Leader Schumer to bring a bill to the floor sanctioning the ICC, which the House has already passed with bipartisan support. Last night, the Senate sent a strong bipartisan message of support for Israel by rejecting resolutions that would have denied Israel the lethal aid that they need. Now the Democrat leader needs to bring up the ICC sanctions bill.
Which, as I mentioned, this was the bill that they passed over the spring.
If he chooses not to act, the new Senate Republican majority next year will. We will stand with Israel and make this bill and other supportive legislation a top priority in the next Congress. In 6 weeks, Republicans will retake the majority here. And when we do, we will make it clear that the United States stands squarely in Israel's corner.
Well, a few countries that need no further intimidation. Of course, Javier in Argentina rejects international arrest order against Israel's Netanyahu. Viktor Orban invites Netanyahu to Hungary, flouting the ICC arrest warrant. So Orban not only rejected the ICC's wishes to arrest Netanyahu, but as a troll to rub it in his face, he actually invited him to go and step foot on Hungarian soil and defy their warrant. And then, of course, Germany won't arrest Netanyahu because of its Nazi history. Yes. So apparently
they want to celebrate it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Apparently, Israel gets a permanent get-out-of-jail-free card in Germany because of their Nazi history. So there's the overview. So these are some of our fellow countries here who have already bucked the warrant. But to those who are thinking about it, your government right now, if you're watching this within the walls of the empire, your government is threatening our own allies to cripple their economies if they uphold international law by honoring this arrest warrant.
All right. We knew this was going to happen when Trump got elected. I want people who are running around screaming about how Trump is a revolutionary to explain these things to me. How is this revolutionary? How is Trump making America great again, or putting America first, when you see all of these Republicans who are ready to back Israel to the hilt, which also seems very woke? Isn't it interesting that these people like Orban, who are thought of as being so anti-woke, Malay, as being so anti-woke, you notice all of these people bend over for Israel. All of them. All of them. See, how much more woke can it be, right? This is a people who, because of their identity, if you even suggest something about their country is unsavory, much less genocidal, you should be shut down, as we'll see with Pam Bondi. The FBI should be questioning you. You should be deported. That seems pretty woke. So the question for a lot of our MAGA friends is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? You're very happy to listen to channels like this who are criticizing the Biden-Harris administration for taking an overly Zionist posture. Are you going to say anything about this? Are you going to make the Trump administration's life hell the way you went after the Biden and Harris people? Are you going to be all over social media attacking his cabinet picks, attacking Donald Trump? Because if you're not, you have to stop bothering the libs, because you're a lib. You're just the flip side of a lib. You're the same. You're the same. You're made of the same stuff. If now that it has an R, if now that it has an R branding, you're good with genocide. You're good with all these people like Malay, like Orban, all being the wokest motherfuckers on the planet. Well, come on, man. You're not serious. At that point, I don't even understand why you would be involved in politics other than to feel like you're part of a team, which is the same thing for the libs. That's what I'm saying. You're just like a lib. That's why they're involved in it. They don't have any political opinions other than what they're told to think. They like being part of something. They're lonely.
Right. Yeah. And I just want people to understand what Thune said there, the incoming Senate majority leader, is that if Schumer doesn't take up that ICC sanction bill, he will. And he will. The incoming Senate Republicans will take up that bill. They will pass that bill through Congress. They will get it to Donald Trump's desk, and Donald Trump will sign it. So we will now have it codified in our law, the sanctioning of the International Criminal Court for prosecuting war crimes against a genocidal state. Furthermore, we are going to threaten economic sanctions against our allies who do not join us in that.
Right. And this is, when you look at the history of different imperial powers, we're really one of the worst, if not the worst, nations to ever hold this power. The level of arrogance that we are imposing on the world, the idea that we would turn around after presenting ourselves, our whole national mythos is the shining city on the hill. We justify our power by saying we're not like those empires of the past, where we bring human rights. We value democracy and the rights of...
Please clap.